Now, if you look at the stock markets, what we started to see is a re-rating of the logistics back from a Blue Dart to a Snowman Logistics to an all cargo to Mahindra Logistics to even the new age delivery. The list goes on and on. Well, festive season is also here upon us, and as you all know, that's a very, very busy time for logistics companies too. But what's also got the markets excited is a logistics policy that's in the works from the government side. So to talk about the sector at large, the new triggers also that we are seeing, joining us on the channel is Vineet Agarwal, the Managing Director of TCI, as well as Arindam Guha, partner for government and public services leader at Deloitte, India. Gentlemen, welcome to ET Now. Thank you so much for being with us today on the show. Arindam, I'm going to begin with you. A lot has been said about a new logistics policy, which will, be coupled very nicely with a warehousing policy. We all know that has all been in the works. It's been listed previously as part of the business for the parliament as well. How crucial is all of this going to be? Because even in the absence of the policy, the fact is the logistics sector is thriving.
Yeah, I think, it is extremely critical because the country's competitiveness is dictated by the logistics costs in a large way. And if we look at India, various studies have shown that logistics costs till about 2 years back was around 14% of GDP, vis-a-vis 8 to 10% for most of the mature economies. So I think this is an integral part of attracting investments, private investments into the economy, whether it is from domestic investors or from international investors. So it is extremely critical because unless private sector is competitive, investments are going to, the investment flow is not going to speed up.
So you think what kind, you at Deloitte speak to some of the largest investors around the world, right? So give us a sense when you're saying that investments can pick up, and I know you guys work with Excel sheets and all kind of projections, and that's where you have all the consultants on board, right? How big can this sector be? What kind of investments are you folks projecting?
No, I think, what I was actually driving at is that investment in the logistics sector is one issue. But if you look at investments across sectors, logistics plays a very, very critical role because whether it is electronics, whether it is white goods, whether it is food processing, all of us know that, whether it is getting raw materials into the factories or shipping out finished goods, logistics and connectivity play a very important role, and it's a very important component of overall costs. So I think that's where the importance of this sector comes in. And all of us have seen multiple initiatives being taken over the last 2-3 years. Gati Shakti is one, which focuses on infrastructure. There are various initiatives like the National Single Window Mechanism for speeding up approvals. And I think the logistics policy, which is awaited, is just the final link in the entire chain. And there are significant expectations out of that policy. Because again, we have seen that various states, I think over 15-20 states, have come up with their state level logistics policies. Now we are looking at the national policy as something to weave it all together.
This one is for you. So how does this policy could be a game changer for you? How does TCI benefit? Opportunity size? What is it now? How does it increase?
So we are very well positioned to take advantage of not just the logistics policy, but also the fact that there will be companies wanting change with this policy coming in effect, as well as the fact that they also would want to move towards their own ESG goals, or just to ultimately look at a better cost structure. We as a company have our, we do all kinds of modes of transport, road, rail, sea. We have our own assets here, and we're actually able to do seamless multimodal logistics between different modes for our clients. So we'll have a container that possibly originates from North India that will start on a journey with going on the rail network, comes to a port in Gujarat, let's say Kandla port, gets onto a ship, gets onto, let's say, Cochin, where we put it onto a truck and we deliver it to the factory or to the customer. This kind of multimodal is already happening. and several of our customers is using it across the country. So when this policy comes into effect, we definitely believe that we should be amongst the four front runners to really take advantage of the policy.
So are you worried about more competition, threat to your market share, new entrants eating in to your moat?
Certainly there will be competition, but I think we also do have a head start in terms of understanding what the market is, what our customers want. The other aspect of this is digitization. The NLP is also going to talk about how there's going to get a ULIP, which is a Unified Logistics Interface platform that's getting created, which will have all the modes of transport, road, rail, sea, air, everything will come onto a single platform in terms of visibility for customers. We are also quite far ahead in our journey towards digital transformation and also ensuring that we have this logistics interface available to us. So we are able to then capitalize on not just the hard assets that are there in terms of the transportation movement, etc., but also on the soft side, which is the documentation, the digitization, and so on and so forth. So this type of the connecting that, and plus the customer base, we are present in more than 1,000 locations across the country, and we have access to a large customer base. I think those will be still advantages for us over our competitors.
Okay, Vineet, hold that thought. Let me bring Arindam back into the conversation. Arindam, talk to us about how the logistic cost in India really compares with rest of the world. Because we understand it's almost 14% of GDP back home, but globally as well, what are the trends which have panned out? And does it mean there will be a shift from road transport to maybe seaways and other ways of transport going forward?
Absolutely. I think in terms of overall costs, vis-a-vis 14% in India, most mature economies have it between 8 to 10% of GDP. So there's significant scope for improvement there. And one of the reasons which you rightly pointed out is the mix in the different modes of transport. In India, we are predominantly dependent on roads, which account for about 60% of the total transport. I think railways is maybe another 30%. And I think the area where there is maximum scope for improvement is waterways, which is hardly 5 to 6% today. And one of the goals which we expect to see in the logistics policy is a change in this multimodal mix, where we do hope to see the share of the road sector coming down to around 30%, maybe 50 to 55% will be the target for railways, and the remaining will essentially be the waterways. Now, if you look at the fine print, what that implies is that there is also a positive climate impact, because we are shifting from roads, which is naturally leading to, which is a fuel intensive, not an eco-friendly fuel as of now. From that mode of transport, we are shifting to waterways, we are shifting to railways. So I think, and anyway, we have committed to move to solar and renewable power by 2030. So whatever gets powered electrically naturally becomes more environment friendly. So we are talking about a shift in mode of transport, which will not only help reduce costs, but which will also be more environment friendly.
Structural shift happening for the entire sector. In the context of that, Vineet, how have you changed your capex plans? Because at the start of the year, I remember you had a capex plan of around 300 crores. How are you planning to deploy that, and are you perhaps increasing that at all?
Yeah, so our capex plan for the year is about 300 odd crores. And if you see the kind of capex that we're doing, we are actually doing using a lot of the money for new assets in the multimodal space only. So whether it is new ships, new containers, or even rakes that we need for rail movement, those are the things that we're investing into. These are the things that we've been investing into for the last 5 years, more and more. So in effect, laying out a path towards an increased multimodal growth opportunity as and when, not just when the policy comes up, but as when customers are also changing. So no, we don't have any plans to really enhance this yet. We will certainly look at in the next few years to keep up this capex of 250, 300 crores each year for the next 4 years. So this will continue for us. And apart from that, We also use a lot of assets of our vendors and hire from the spot market. So those assets are also constantly being used. I mean, just to give you a sense, we own 3 trains today for automobile transportation, but we are operating more than 200 trains a month across the country for various kinds of modes of material. So that kind of activity is already underway, and the capex plan will augment the overall capacity that we have.
Okay, Vinny, so a run rate of 250 to 300 crores for the next few years when it comes to the capex plan. But you had also started the year with a guidance of 10 to 15% growth. Are you on track with that? Or given the fact there are issues, geopolitical tensions in Europe and China, are you scaling down your guidance?
Well, we should see what happens in Q3, Q4, because we are actually coming off from a higher base from the last year. So clearly there would be some pressure on growth, but yes, I think we are looking to definitely achieve those goals.
Okay, so that's why you should all know logistics turning out to be a hot space, and we've seen that being reflected in the stock prices too, right? Thank you, gentlemen, for joining us today.